Okay. So Shimon Peres, but he was both.
At two different times in his life. At two different times he was prime minister.
Yes.
But then later in his life, the opportunity, right, and already in his mid-80s, became president. And one of the nice things, I think, for those of us who admired him for years and years and years, is the politics are very much there when you're prime minister, when you're in the political sphere.
Yes.
But when you're president, you're beyond it, and you become the president for everybody.
Yeah.
And Peres really took that on in a very meaningful way, and it was nice to see the whole public in Israel, people of different faiths, whether they were Jewish or Christian or Muslim, whether they were more conservative politically or more liberal, see him out as a father, as an elder figure, and late in his life.
You say he was here in February this year?
Yeah, after he finished his job as president and retired, the Jewish community of South Africa invited him to come here in February, and he had been sick and he had been fragile, but he wanted to come, and he did, and so there too, again, I got to welcome him off an airplane. And he spent a weekend in Johannesburg, and
he knew you by name, obviously, by then.
He did. Okay. And when he was leaving, one of the and I will go back to the plane, where we joked, saying that I was in Azerbaijan and you came, and I was in South Africa and you came. Where are we going next, Mr. President? And he passed away a few months later. But
if you take out your phone, can we see that picture on your phone of you and him? Because I know that is your phone not here? Okay, we'll get your phone.
Well, I'll get you a picture. We can put it up.
So tell me about the relationship between South Africa and Israel is good. The relationship between Israel and the U.S. under an Obama administration, how is that at the moment?
Well, one of the interesting things between Israel and the United States is it's always been good.
Yeah.
We have a way of looking at the world since the State of Israel was founded in 1948, that it didn't matter who was in charge in America, and it didn't matter who was in charge in Israel, that there's a human bond, a sense of shared values, but more than a working relationship. It's a closeness of two countries that see the world in a same way, that are people that identify with each other, and it's always been that way, and we're blessed, we're lucky that it's that way, and it's going to continue to.
So, the question that I'm going to ask you now, new president of America coming in January, Donald Trump, do you think much will change, or do you think things will kind of stay the same?
Well, I don't know what's going to happen, and we're all watching. Well, that's the thing. I mean, there's a famous American movie producer by the name of William Goldman, who produced a beautiful movie called Princess Bride. I don't know if you know that film.
I've heard of that, yeah.
It's my daughter's favorite movie. It's a great movie.
Oh, so you've seen it.
One of our family's favorites. And he talked about making movies, and he said, no one knows anything.
Wow.
And basically, when you make a movie, and you don't know whether the audience is going to like it or not. But I think we saw last week in politics, it's like that too sometimes. But here's one thing I do know, is that Israel and the United States relationship will continue, because it's a people-to-people relationship.
Yes.
It's between the Americans and Israelis. And I think that Africa will remain important, because it is important, and because there are so many people in the United States and around the world that have such connections to this beautiful continent, and it needs those connections with the West too. And so they're going to happen, and they're going to continue, and we're all going to get up in the morning and go to work, and it's going to be all right.
The world will carry on. Everything will carry on.
It is.
Yeah.
It will.
So tell me about, you mentioned Palestine, Israel. I don't know much about the history or the politics around that. How is the relationship at the moment?
Well, look, we're two people who we're neighbors.
Yeah.
And we've had a conflict for a while of two different people living in the same land. The answer is so straightforward that you'll roll your eyes because it's so simple. Is we need to have two states.
Okay.
And there needs to be a state of Israel next to a Palestinian state. But the way to get there is through talking to each other and through compromise.
Yeah.
Because, we talked about it a bit earlier, some people say, well, it's all mine. God gave it to me.
Yeah.
And the other people say, it's all mine because God gave it to me. Well, what do you do?
Yeah.
What the answer is there has to be enough room for everybody.
And that's what Perez tried to do.
He did, and so the current Israeli Prime Minister, Mr. Netanyahu, says, let's talk.
Okay.
Let's negotiate. Come to the table. In fact, he spoke at the UN, at the General Assembly in September.
I think I watched that, yeah.
He said, we're all here in New York, so far away, but I want to invite Mr. Abbas, the president of the Palestinian Authority, come to our parliament, come to Knesset, and speak to our people. Talk.
Wow.
And I want to come to your parliament in Ramallah and speak to your people. That's the way we need to make peace. If I connect to South Africa, that's, to me, the number one lesson I've learned in your country, is the way South Africans made peace was you talk to each other.
Yeah.
It wasn't the Americans or the UN or the Europeans or other Africans who made peace.
Social media wasn't around then.
No, well, I don't know that that's even a factor. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
What you need to do is you need to put brave leaders inside a room and have them talk to each other.
That's right.
And bang their heads together and lead their people in the right direction. The same is true for Israelis and Palestinians. The difference is you and South Africa needed to get married. We need to get divorced.
Okay.
But the
And it's not over.
well, and to start as two states, living next to each other in peace.
Two single people.
Respect. No, two small countries, but each of them with their own aspirations and their own direction, and building a better future as neighbors.
Do you think it'll be possible in our lifetime?
Yeah, I'm an optimist. I think that it needs leaders who are strong and confident and brave. But you know, optimists and pessimists, we live the same amount of time together. I'd much rather live as an optimist. And the truth is it's the details are really complicated. We're not going to solve
No. We're not going to
TV show. But the philosophy, the theory of people of different worldviews living next to each other in respect is pretty straightforward and obvious. And there are lessons to be learned. And there are places that dealt with impossible problems, or seemingly impossible problems, and your country is one of them. And so I have to say that after 3.5 years, and not saying that South Africa got everything perfect. No place does. No place does.
We're still not perfect. We're still getting there. We're still working through things.
And the process, the road is the end, right? There's no perfect world. There's no perfect country, right?
It's ongoing. Yeah.
But with all of those challenges, that message of coexistence, that message of respect, the message of live and let live, the message of nonviolence and rejecting terrorism has to exist. And it's not just in my neighborhood, it's not just the Israelis and Palestinians.
It's all over.
Right? In Syria, there's been this awful, huge tragedy.
Yes.
With hundreds of thousands of people killed within their own, in Iraq.
Yes.
Iran and their government and not letting women and young people live their lives freely. That the truth is, in my whole region, we're the only democracy, and we have to encourage more, and we have to find ways for peoples of different faith to be free and to choose their own path.
And what is have you met with your Palestinian counterpart here in South Africa?
I have. On a diplomatic, events and so forth. We see each other and we shake hands and we chat a little bit, and our wives know each other. The truth is we live in Israel in a suburb of Jerusalem. So does he.
Oh.
Not in the same suburb, but 10 minutes apart.
Wow.
Why in the world shouldn't we be able to talk with?
That's right. Why should you be enemies when you can be friends?
We're not. We're neighbors.
Yeah, neighbors. That's right.
We're really not enemies.
So tell me, Ambassador Lenk, Israel, lots of challenges, lots of issues, as with any country in the world. Human rights issues, what's your view on human rights?
Well, the more that you can do, the more that a human being can be protected and needs to be protected. Like, for example, Israel is considered to be one of the more liberal countries in the world on women's rights and on gays and lesbians and so forth, and having freedom and opportunity, different faiths and religions with access to holy places. Human rights is really important and really central to the conversation that goes on in Israel.
So you're open to the new modern world that we live in then?
Israel is the new modern world that we live in. Israel is very much a 21st century country, a country that's a leader in innovation. Lots of people call Israel Startup Nation.
Wow.
Because of all of the creativity, all of the inventions, all of the new ideas that in health, in science, in telecommunications. And in fact, I'm in Cape Town this week because there's a big AfricaCom, the biggest telecommunications conference across Africa.
Wow.
Opened yesterday. It's taking place at the International Convention Center this week. And I opened an Israeli pavilion, there's probably 30 Israeli companies in telecom.
Sure.
You don't, if you live in South Africa and you use a cell phone,
Yeah.
you're using Israeli technology. It's inside.
Really? Wow.
Don't have a choice.
I didn't know that.